So I just turned 37 recently.
Happy birthday, dear Daddy. Cake time!
Instead of having some crazy party and renting a yacht or whatever cool rich people do nowadays, I took my brand new toy, the Sony FX30, to the nearest park and filmed some stuff. I'm not gonna get into all the technical specs of this thing, all the 422, 10-bit, blah, 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 blah. Look, this camera is like 2 years old, not 10 years old, 2 years old. And if you want all the tech specs out there, go ahead. Instead, I'm gonna be talking about when it's time to upgrade your gear. Now, even though I've been in the video industry for over 15 years, I'm not usually the guy that operates a camera. I'm not a camera operator. I'm not a DP. I've worked with DPs, a director of photography, and I've worked with camera operators as a director, as a producer, but I'm not usually the guy that hits record. So I've never had a need to buy my own camera. And now that I'm getting into filming my own content, I had a need for buying a camera because what I was rocking before was not it. So this bad boy right here is what I filmed a lot of my previous content on. It's the only camera that I had for the longest time. It's the Sony A5100. It is a 10-year-old camera. It is old as dirt. Now, even though this thing is an old turd, it actually does a really, really good job, and the picture quality is actually pretty good. I actually shot 2 mini documentaries with this camera, and my biggest gripe, aside from the fact that it is just, you know, I mean, this thing, my biggest gripe, hands down, is that this thing overheats every time I blinked at it. Like, it was crazy. And I was actually on a shoot with a chef filming this documentary about him, and the thing overheated 2 minutes when the interview started. And luckily, I was able to make it work, but yeah, that was scary. I've been wanting to get a more than decent camera for a long time. Being someone who likes that aesthetic and somebody who cares about the craft, I wanted to get a pretty good camera, and I did my research, and the Sony FX30 was the one that ticked all the boxes. You can watch other videos about what the Sony FX30 does. I just wanted to talk about why was it important for me to upgrade my gear. Now, my firm belief is that gear doesn't matter. But, now let me explain here. I do believe that if you are a beginner, gear doesn't matter. If all you got is your cell phone, if all you got is a potato, if all you got is a Game Boy camera, whatever it is, whatever you're rocking with, use that. Use that to create your art. Use that to improve on your craft. Whatever you have, use it, okay? Now, once you reach the max of the limit of what your gear can do, then it's time to upgrade. Then you could look at getting fancier toys. That's one reason to upgrade. The second reason to upgrade or to buy more gear is if what you currently have cannot physically do what you want. All right? I'm talking about, like, if you're, you know, let me use this camera as an example. Now, audio is insanely important. It is way more important than visual quality. I'm sure if you can't hear me right now, you'd be pissed, regardless of how good, you know, things look. Now, this bad boy over here, as much as I love the Sony A5100, there is no audio input on this thing, so I cannot hook up any microphone or anything into this, and so that sucks. Now, obviously there's a workaround. I could record externally, and that's what I did for the 2 little mini documentaries that I did. But you know, if I can record internally into the camera to make the post-production process a lot easier, you know what, I'll do it. So if you are just starting as a video creative and you care about the craft and you want to make pretty pictures, you want to tell a story, then your gear should not affect that. Your gear should not be the reason you don't even start. Just start creating, start working on your art, start getting better at your craft, and then when the time is right, get the Sony FX30, get Sony A6700, Fujifilm, whatever other camera, Canon, I don't know. Like I'm not a gear guy, okay? If you can't tell, I really don't care what I'm working with, as long as I can use it to tell the story that I want. And that's ultimately what really matters.